just a small variation of your acoustic grating, where what happens is the waves your transducer generate, they are not a constant amplitude. Their amplitude keeps varying with time. In which case, these spots you see, they will still be spots. They will still be found at the location corresponding to the nodes. The only difference being the spots will blink. When the amplitude increases, you will see a bright spot. When the amplitude decreases, the spot will fade. So, they will continue to blink. That is just a variation which exists. You don't need to know much about it. And then these are basic stuff. It is like your light refraction, Snell's law, that kind of stuff. It's more or less the same thing. So I think I leave you to read this on your own. You can get back to me if you have any questions. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Yeah. Now coming to transducers. A transducer is an instrument which can generate and receive reflected ultrasonic waves. So we'll be looking at this applications of a transducer when you come to the next PPT, which is about time of flight and all that. But its main function is to generate ultrasonic waves, and it can also receive a reflected wave back. So they are classified based on different criterion into different types. Based on the frequency of operation, they can be narrowband, broadband or composite. Frequency of operation is the frequency of the ultrasonic wave which this transducer is capable of generating. Narrowband meaning it can only work with a very narrow frequency. Broadband meaning a broader range of frequencies. And composite meaning multiple ranges, some 20 to 22 kilohertz, again 1 megahertz to 3 megahertz, again 25 gigahertz to 50. For example, multiple discrete ranges, then we call it composite. Based on the number of crystals inside, by crystal we mean the piezoelectric crystal. So if there's only one crystal, it's single element. If you have two crystals, it's dual element. If you have more than two, it's an array. And then the type of medium, this is basically what type of surface you put the transducer on. If you're putting it on a solid surface, it is called contact type. Within that, if you're putting it perfectly horizontal, it is normal type. If it's placed at an angle, it is called angle type. When you look at some pictures and when we deal with time of flight, you will be able to understand this better. And if you're putting this in a liquid surface, it is called immersion type. So I'll show you pictures. For example, this is a contact type transducer because you're putting it on a solid and it's placed perfectly horizontal, so it is normal type. This one is also contact type, but you're putting this at an angle, so it is angle type. And this is an immersion type transducer. And one last concept we need to learn is about couplant. So we all know this thing about applying grease on door hinges, right? Why we do that is because there is some roughness, some friction, some abnormality in the door hinge, and you want to smoothen it out. That is why we apply grease. So this is the same concept here. You have a material surface, you're putting a transducer on it. There are some irregularities or roughness on the surface. You want to smooth it out and make sure that the signals from the transducer, they travel seamlessly. So for that you put a couplants. You just need to make sure that the impedance of the couplant lies between that of these two. Impedance is the obstruction it offers, the amount of resistance it offers to the flow of the ultrasonic waves. Why does it have to be between these two? Because if it is either too high, if it's too low, then too many waves will pass through and the material might break. If it's too high, nothing will pass through, and then the whole idea of what you're trying to do will not happen. So one job of the couplant is to smoothen out the irregularities, and the other is to make sure its impedance lies between that of the transducer and that of the test material, to ensure that your waves travel smoothly. So yeah, the rest is just additional material.